Shock reports claim Michael B. Jordan allegedly ignored Lori Harvey's congratulatory call after his Oscar win, sending her to voicemail and never returning, a detail that has sparked speculation about pride, closure, and shifting power after their breakup. Observers say Lori appears affected, while unverified accounts referencing her stepsister Brandy suggest private conversations and late-night support from Marjorie Harvey as emotions surface behind closed doors. To understand the reaction, recall that Jordan and Lori dated from late 2020 to mid-2022 in a highly public relationship marked by family integration and visible commitment, including introductions to his mother and shared holiday time. That contrast between that image and the breakup fuels today's discourse, as people interpret post-breakup signals as winners and losers, though critics argue this is narrative inflation rather than confirmed reality. Based on relationship patterns and public behavior trends, audiences often seek clear outcomes for emotional closure, even when situations remain private and nuanced. If this framing persists, future public relationships may be judged more by perception than authenticity, shifting reputations in ways.
See, I gotta be real careful, because Lori, boy, she be in my... I can't make no mistakes. I can't make stuff. I saw one of her exes somewhere at a game somewhere, and I shook his hand. Boy, I can't even touch his no more. I better not acknowledge him, look at him or nothing no more. So I'm off limits. If you are ex, your is my ex too. That's the rule. The rule in our house is any boy that's an ex, he's now my ex too.
Anyway, when they were together, Michael B. Jordan even hinted in interviews that Lori Harvey was the one and bluntly stated that marriage was on his mind. Then, instead of gradual fade, reports suggest Lori Harvey chose to end the relationship, citing a desire for independence and personal freedom. On the surface, it sounds simple, but psychologically it signaled a shift in priorities that many people recognized as he entered a high-commitment phase. Images and clips circulating afterward appear to show Michael B. Jordan in a visibly affected state, with close friends surrounding him, which reinforced perception of emotional fallout. What intensified the conversation further was the narrative control that followed, with post-breakup speculation spreading quickly across social circles and online commentary. According to claims attributed to Lisa Ray, allegations surfaced suggesting infidelity involving an ex-partner, claims that gained traction partly due proximity within shared social networks. Because Marjorie Harvey and her circle were loosely connected.
Said that she wasn't ready, because when a woman finds a good one, then that's what you're looking for. But I will say that she's young still, you know what I mean? And I too was looking forward to them making it, because I thought, oh, you know what? She's been looking for someone to keep on her arm, to be able to have a relationship with that is meaningful and that's successful, because we know that the girl's gonna keep her somebody that is gonna be newsworthy, you know. But I think,
damn, Lisa Ray.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, she ain't no joke. She ain't. And her mama, Marjorie, my girlfriend, she gonna make sure that she doing and navigating the right way, because she gonna make sure that she is. And I think every mother should do that, you know. But I think at the same time, she's young. I think the established relationship that Michael did have before this one, I think that maybe that social media, that all of that was a lot for him. And I think that he, you know, I heard about his ex, and him was so serious that he may have missed.
Now, as for Lori Harvey, she remained silent, choosing not to address the situation. Yet observers argue that silence allowed voices to shape narratives affecting Michael B. Jordan's reputation. That restraint is read as neutrality by some and passive endorsement by others, showing how perception fills gaps when information is absent. Strategically, silence can preserve control, but also invite speculation as narratives form in that vacuum. Soon after, claims circulated portraying Michael B. Jordan as a habitual cheater and framing his dating preferences narrowly, despite his prior interviews rejecting those labels. He has emphasized that misconceptions about his preferences are...
What about white women? Did you cut off white women during that
Come
period?
on, man. Why was that go back there? I like women, period. All women. Everybody's on the table.
Okay.
What's the craziest rumor you've ever heard about yourself?
That I don't date black women.
Yes, I'm on vacation right now, okay? I'm traveling around. And newsflash, okay? All right? Yeah. There's not a lot of black women in Italy, okay? It's not. It's just not. I'm sorry. It's not, okay? Y'all plug it. I read through the comments and shit. Y'all tearing your boy up. It's too much, man. Y'all doing too much. All right?
Actually, every time he has been asked about his preferences, he has consistently given the same answer. When he and Lori split, the Harvey family appeared to amplify the narrative around the breakup. And because Michael never publicly pushed back or addressed the claims, many accepted the story and ran with it. He allowed the moment to pass while, behind the scenes, he focused on preparing for a role that would earn him an Oscar. As the situation escalated, Steve Harvey and Marjorie also posted messages on Instagram that many interpreted as subtle shade directed at Michael without naming him directly. Steve shared a post saying, "Love yourself, my G," followed by another message about being grateful for what has not happened. Some observers speculated that Steve was reacting emotionally, possibly projecting frustration over Lori's decision to end the relationship, given earlier tensions and past situationships that drew public attention. From that view, some argue Lori may have used the relationship to reestablish a more stable public image after previous controversies, while Michael represented a more respected Hollywood figure compared to others she had dated. According to commentary circulating at the time, the relationship was seen by some as a way to elevate perception and credibility, which made the breakup feel, to certain observers, like a misalignment. Meanwhile, Michael continued to progress professionally, reaching A-list status, with an Oscar now part of his achievements. His earning power and industry influence increased, reflecting a steady upward trajectory. Supporters suggest that if the relationship had continued, she would have shared in this phase of success, though critics argue that framing relationships as lost opportunities oversimplifies personal choices. Reports have also circulated claiming Brandy has been a source of insight into Lori's emotional state, though such claims remain unverified. Some interpret this as family dynamics at play, while others see it as narrative recycling within connected social circles. Ultimately, the situation highlights how public perception, timing, and silence can shape reputations, and how competing narratives define what people believe happened. That gap between perception and verification continues to drive online discourse daily still.
Told Lori I was gonna cut her off, and she just went, "Daddy, stop." That was all she said was, don't play. Because Lori really thinks she's the special one. She really does. Lori, I told Lori I was gonna cut her off because she's making a lot of money right now, and I was gonna cut her off, and she just started laughing. And then she said, "Well, and you're not gonna speak to me anymore?" I said, "Yeah, I'll still talk to you."
For years, speculation has circulated that Brandy Harvey and Carly Harvey have maintained distance from Marjorie Harvey and Lori Harvey, a perception reinforced by their limited presence at family gatherings that are often publicly showcased as proof of unity. Observers point to missed holiday appearances and selective attendance at events as signals, but from a structural perspective, absence alone does not confirm conflict. It only invites interpretation in a blended family already under public scrutiny. According to broader patterns in high-profile households, visibility is often curated, meaning what audiences see is less about daily reality and more about controlled representation. Still, rumors of internal tension have persisted, with claims that family dynamics were strained during moments when Steve Harvey appeared especially supportive of Lori, fueling narratives of imbalance or favoritism. Some sources have described dissension within the extended family, but such accounts remain anecdotal rather than verified, and critics rightly argue that projecting conflict onto private relationships often reflects outsider bias rather than documented fact. Psychologically, perceived favoritism can amplify sibling comparison, especially in blended families where roles and histories differ, and that tension becomes more visible when one individual receives disproportionate public attention. At a human level, this resonates because recognition and belonging are deeply tied to identity within family systems, and when one member appears elevated, others may feel overlooked regardless of intent. There are also historical references to Steve Harvey's earlier family life with previous marriages, which some use to frame narratives about long-term relational patterns, though that connection is often simplified beyond its actual complexity. Now, critics will argue that much of this is narrative stacking built on speculation, and that public figures frequently become magnets for exaggerated storylines that outpace reality. That critique holds weight, especially when claims extend into unverified personal motives or exaggerated interpretations of behavior. Still, based on observable media cycles and past examples, blended family dynamics in the spotlight tend to be reframed repeatedly through the lens of conflict because controversy drives engagement. If this pattern continues, the broader takeaway is not about any single individual, but about how audiences construct meaning from incomplete information, turning distance, silence, and selective appearances into assumed truths. And that raises the uncomfortable question of whether we are witnessing real family dynamics, or simply a performance shaped by perception and amplified by the public itself.